Well, for more on this, political science professor Peter Mathews joins me now from California. Thank you for your time, sir. Firstly, it was a narrow decision, 5-4. Just to be clear, for those who say it is racist, can it be overturned?
Well, at this point, the Supreme Court is the highest authority on this. It can be overturned by Congress, though, because the Congress passed the various laws that gave the president such major authority in protecting the nation, including blocking, as they called, aliens or other segments of aliens, meaning people who don't have American residency or citizenship, from coming to the United States. Congress gave him that kind of power, and the court said that Congress can overturn it, but the court decided the way the law is written now, he has the authority to use what he did, and that was to ban people from these 7 countries, 5 of them which were majority Muslim. So there's a real controversial question here. Many people are opposing the court's ruling, actually, in terms of evaluating it.
Okay, and why is this decision so significant in terms of the president's powers?
It's extremely significant because the court is saying that the president can basically ban any class or group of people from coming to this country, from many other countries, any other parts of countries, that he wishes to, as long as he says it's the grounds of national security. That is a blank check to really discriminate against people in the world and against people who might come here and want to come here to visit, or to maybe immigrate, or to just be a guest in the country. And it's really isolating America from the rest of the world in many ways. And it's totally unnecessary, in my view, because these folks could be vetted individually when they're coming across to this country. Any immigrants or people coming to visit could be vetted. And that would be the better way to go, by treating people as individuals, not as blanket groups of human beings that are suspicious or suspected. It's very wrong in the approach, in my view.
Okay, and do you think this decision will embolden Trump in his push for tighter immigration controls from Central America?
It certainly can. It can embolden him to push for tighter immigration controls all over the world. Whatever country he doesn't favor, or whatever immigrants doesn't favor, he can say it's the grounds of national security, so we have to stop them. I mean, if you think about some of the statements that he's made before, for example, when he said that, why are all these people coming from shithole countries, such as countries in Africa and Haiti? I want immigrants from Norway. He said these words, I'm paraphrasing him, but that indicates a certain bias toward who he wants to come to this country. And America is not a nation just for one ethnic group, it's for all of the world's people who came here as immigrants and built this country. And we should be inclusive, but the president and his advisor, Stephen Miller, that's another person that we should look at carefully. He's the top immigration advisor. Stephen Miller actually was the architect of this Muslim ban, as we would call it earlier, when he first came up with the ban. Stephen Miller at one time was in 6th grade in Santa Monica High Schools, which is close to where I live. And when he went to 9th grade, he had a friend who was a Latino friend named Jacob Islas. This is a report in the New York Times, by the way. He told Jacob Islas, look, Jacob, we've been friends for 3 years now. Now we're in 9th grade. I can't be your friend anymore because you're a Latino. So the kind of people that Trump is surrounding himself with, who's the architects of this policy, in my view, are very suspect in terms of being an inclusive approach, using an inclusive approach that America is a nation of immigrants, and saying it proudly, and dealing with people as individuals, not as large groups. It's very dangerous because you know the other groups of leaders in the world who were very dangerous for the world, people like Adolf Hitler, for example. He classified people as groups of people, and he vilified groups of people for their beliefs, for their ethnicity, for their religious background. We don't want any kind of shades of that coming up here again, but it looks like the Supreme Court has spoken. One more thing I should say is this Justice Gorsuch, Neil Gorsuch, was the final deciding vote to make it a 5-4 decision, and he was appointed by President Trump. And, you know, that seat lay vacant for several months when President Obama could have appointed someone else, whom he did appoint, but Mitch McConnell, as the Senate Majority Leader, would not bring that to a vote. So the Republicans were able to block that appointment of a more moderate justice who would have probably voted against this decision. But we got instead Neil Gorsuch in 5-4 for it.
Okay, and just shortly, how might all this affect the immigration reform Congress is looking at currently?
Well, I think that it'll give some of the hardliners in the immigration reform movement even more ammunition to block any kind of compromise and meaningful change, and bringing relief to people like the DACA young people who are brought here by as children, by their parents. That's something that has to be put at the front end of the burner, but that will be put aside now to some extent. The hardliners might basically be able to block a compromised version as they were trying to do earlier. And this is a problem that's going to set back real immigration reform that would actually give people a right to come out of the shadows and remain in the United States and be productive citizens who can move on the path to citizenship from their status of being undocumented. That's something we have to do, as President Reagan once was very good at doing that, and help strengthen this country.
Okay, thank you so much for this analysis, sir. Peter Mathews there for us, political science professor from California.